Test, test. Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony will begin in 5 minutes' time. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. The ceremony will begin in approximately 2 minutes. Please take this time to silence all electronic devices. The ceremony will be conducted as if outdoors. Military personnel will remain covered and render the prescribed salute during both honors to the host and honors to the nation. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, general officers, senior non-commissioned officers, soldiers, civilians, friends, and families of the Human Resources Command. On behalf of the host, Major General Joseph R. Callaway, Commander, U.S. Army Human Resources Command, welcome to the Adjutant General of the United States Army Investiture between the 61st Adjutant General of the Army, Brigadier General Robert W. Bennett, Jr., and the 62nd Adjutant General of the Army, Brigadier General Hope C. Rampey. Also present in today's ceremony are the Human Resources Command Sergeant Major, Command Sergeant Major Lanice D. Thorpe Noel, and the United States Army Adjutant General Sergeant Major John Y. Williams. At this time, we would like to recognize our distinguished guests. Present at today's ceremony are the U.S. Army's 48th Deputy Chief of Staff, G1, Lieutenant General Thomas C. Siemens, and the Headquarters Department of the Army Deputy Chief of Staff, G1, Sergeant Major Wardell Jefferson. In addition, we would also like to welcome other general officers, distinguished visitors, community leaders, officers, non-commissioned officers, soldiers, civilians, friends, and family of the Human Resources Command, and those joining us via live stream. Today's ceremony is unique as it's being conducted under current COVID-19 guidance and restrictions. Thank you for joining us for this special event. The history of the Adjutant General began on June 16, 1775. The Continental Congress decreed that there would be an Adjutant General in the Continental Army, similar to such positions in the French and British armies of the day. Congress appointed Horatio Gates, a former British Army major, as the first Adjutant General on June 17, 1775, and commissioned him integrated Brigadier General. General Gates was the second officer to receive a commission in the Continental Army. George Washington was the first. General Gates proved himself to be an able assistant to General Washington, as well as a brilliant field commander. Following his strategic victory over the British at Saratoga on October 17, 1775, Congress awarded General Gates, our country's highest honor, the Congressional Gold Medal, thus beginning the proud tradition of the Adjutant General and the Adjutant General Corps. The next set of colors represents the Military Postal Service Agency that was established in 1980 and is a jointly staffed management headquarters with the Department of the Army as the executive agent. The Military Postal Service Agency is the single manager for the military postal services, with policy guidance provided by the Assistant Deputy Undersecretary of Defense. The last set of colors represents the U.S. Army Physical Disability Agency. The U.S. Army Physical Disability Agency executes Secretary of the Army Physical Disability Decision-Making Authority directed by Congress on retirement or separations for physical disability. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party, honors, playing of the national anthem, and the invocation given by Dr. James E. Baker. Major General Callaway has deferred honors to the outgoing Adjutant General, Brigadier General Bennett.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this gift of a day which allows your servants another opportunity to marvel at your miracles and to stand in admiration of your creations. We thank you for your majestic presence in our lives that's filled with an outpour of grace. And Lord, we thank you for our outstanding unit, our professional leaders, and our resilient soldiers. We ask your blessing on this momentous and historic occasion for which we gather today. Wrap us in your hedge of protection, which guards us against any force that seeks to harm your people. Lord, we thank you for sending Brigadier General Bennett to us to lead this multifaceted unit in its diverse mission set. He has completed and exceeded your requirements by leading justly with wisdom, insight, and righteousness. He has made a lasting impact on the unit, the Army, and the world through his profound teachings, his attentive leadership, and his inspiring examples. Keep him and his supportive family close and continue to cover them with your grace and mercy. Lord, as the official party renders salutes throughout the circle of transference today, we ask that you provide an enduring sense of accomplishment and completion upon relinquishment, a sense of confidence and trust with the extension of the new charge, and a sense of zeal and excitement upon receipt and acceptance of the assignment. Now, Lord, as the unit releases the Bennett family from its farewell embrace by opening its arms, it is with those same open arms it welcomes the Rampey family into its midst. We are thankful for you for allowing us to build talent management processes and put them in place, which provides the right leader to the right unit at the right time. The unit in its entirety stands ready to support the new leadership team and execute the vision and guiding principles set forth, thus carrying on the continuum of striving for excellence in the world's greatest army and in your name. Lord, this is our humble petition sent forth on this day. In your name, we pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. At this time, flowers are being presented to Brigadier General Bennett's wife, Sylvia, and a gift to his son, Eric, as a small token of appreciation on behalf of the soldiers and civilian employees of the Adjutant General Directorate, and to thank both of them for their support to the Army and the Human Resources Command. We would also like to acknowledge Brigadier General Rampey's family and guests for attending the ceremony and supporting her in all things yet to come. The ceremony you will now witness represents the investiture and transfer of authority from the Army's 61st Adjutant General of the Army, Brigadier General Robert W. Bennett, Jr., to the 62nd Adjutant General of the Army, Brigadier General Hope C. Rampey. The rendering of the hand salute from one leader to another is replacing the passing of the colors to symbolize the transfer of authority and the unit's legacy as a building block for the continuity of the organization, even as individual members come and go. The Adjutant General Sergeant Major John Y. Williams, will now take his place for the initiation of this historic event. Sergeant Major Williams salutes Brigadier General Bennett, signifying the last official act as his Sergeant Major, and Brigadier General Bennett's acknowledgement of the transfer of authority of the Adjutant General Colors, the Military Postal Service Agency, and the Physical Disability Agency. Brigadier General Bennett is saluting Major General Calloway, relinquishing authority of the AG Colors, Military Postal Service Agency, and the Physical Disability Agency, and signifying successful completion of his duty. Brigadier General Rampey is now saluting Major General Calloway to confirm acceptance as the new Adjutant General of the United States Army, and Major General Calloway is investing in her the responsibility of the position and to effectively lead the Adjutant General Directorate, Military Postal Service Agency, and the Physical Disability Agency. Lastly, Sergeant Major Williams and Brigadier General Rampey exchanged salutes, symbolizing her first official act with her Sergeant Major and completion of the investiture. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commander of the U.S. Army Human Resources Command, Major General Joseph R. Calloway.
I'm not going to use this. I'm going to save this for my teammate, General Rampey. So first of all, thanks to everybody for coming. A hot day and really unusual circumstances given COVID. So thank you very, very much, General Siemens, Command Sergeant Major Jefferson, General and Mrs. Evans, Ms. Sullivan, fellow general officers, teammates, other leaders, distinguished friends, and leaders from the community as well. So thank you very much for coming out. And since we are transferring the authority between tags, there's a couple of special people in the audience that we need to recognize, and that's our former Adjutants General, Major General retired Mushkin. Sir, where are you? Well, sir. Brigadier General retired McEwen. Sir. And Brigadier General retired Iacocca. Sir. Cool. As well, we've got some special guests here today. First, Bob's family, his lovely bride, Sylvia. Their son, Eric. Bob's dad, Bob Bennett Sr. And then also a couple of special friends. So you can see there's some folks here that have traveled from South Carolina, North Carolina, Ohio, people who have served with Bob over the years. So that tells you what kind of person and leader Bob is. So I would like to recognize Mike and Melody Charles. Mike is a colonel retired, a chaplain, and a doctor, so he's much more accomplished than anyone else in the room. And Melody also retired lieutenant colonel, so thanks to both of you for your service in uniform and your friendship to Bob over the years. And their friend Morgan Howard from Ohio. Morgan, who also served 6 years as a military intelligence officer. So Melody, thank you for your service. And then to Hope's family. So her sisters are here. So she's got Mandy and Teddy, who I think came in from Oklahoma. And then Dorothy in from the great state of Colorado. So again, So ladies, thank you for. I know you're proud of your sister, and you very well should be. Not just for becoming a general officer, for all she's done over the course of the years, and then for being appointed as our Adjutant General. And we have some special guests who are viewing the ceremony online. Hope's husband, Mike, Colonel retired Mike Rampey, and their daughter, Lauren, as well, both hanging out in Austin, Texas. So thank you guys for being with us online. Yep. So what in the world is the Adjutant General? I've been an AG officer for 33 years. I was the director of OPMD, and I didn't have the slightest clue. Well, I had a small clue about what the Adjutant General actually does. And I didn't really fully understand and appreciate the breadth and scope of those responsibilities till I was assigned as the CGHRC. And they are voluminous. So just let me, we're going to do Bob's retirement ceremony here in a moment, but I want to just talk a little bit about some of the things that have occurred under Bob's watch in his 3 years serving as our Adjutant General. So he leads our largest directorate, which is about 1,200 people, and they manage a budget of about $400 million a year. That's quite a bit of money. Underneath all that, they do cradle to grave service, and that's almost literal, not bursts necessarily, but from the time you assess into the Army until the time you transition and leave the Army, and at death with casualty notifications. During Bob's watch, they've coordinated about 5,000 casualty notifications. They've moved over 18 million kilograms of mail all around the world. So I don't know if you noticed, Bob and now Hope, well, now Hope has it, Bob lost it, but more titles and more flags than the Chief of Staff of the Army and the Vice Chief of Staff of the Army combined. So the GOMO joke is it's the longest duty title in the Department of the Army. So and you guys heard that. But again, a lot to it. Unemployment compensation, a little thing that people don't know goes on here. So with the Transition Assistance Program, the Adjutant General Directorate is responsible for managing the contract and helping make sure that soldiers are prepared to transition from military life to civilian life, be that separating at 4 years of service or 40 years of service. And in doing that, they have done that extremely well under Bob's watch. And during his watch, for every soldier that goes unemployment, the Army has a bill back to the state where they draw unemployment compensation. Under Bob's watch, that bill has gone down $33 million a year that the Army doesn't have to pay back to states, so that money can be reinvested for other things. They've done about 1.2 million officer and NCO evaluations. Those documents that dictate whether you get promoted or not promoted, whether you get selected to be a battalion commander or a sergeant major or not. So it is deep and wide, and with a couple areas, it's an area where you cannot make a mistake. With casualty notifications, obviously that's one of the most somber duties that we could have as an Army, to make sure that our fallen, the families of our fallen are properly taken care of after the loss of a loved one. And they have done that just tremendously over the course of Bob's tenure. Again, and as the former tags can tell you, we've always done that well, and something that we always pay a lot of attention to. So a huge amount of responsibility. They manage about 18 million personnel records. And those personnel records take on about 9 million documents that get put into the records every year. Again, whether you're appearing before a board or you're retiring or whatever the case, every one of those documents is really important to somebody, either dictating their career, their benefits after they retire or separate, whatever the case may be. And Bob has really done that tremendously. So Bob, specifically for your service as the tag, just an exceptional job. And I know you're going to go off and enjoy a little bit of free time here in about 2 hours, and you're going to be good. But just a tremendous job. So the GOs, the AG Board of Directors, so the GOs have often said, hey, what we really do not want is we do not want the Adjutant General to be a first job for a general officer. Because of how difficult it is, that is really just not the circumstance you want. You'd like for somebody to have a first job, figure out what it's like to be a GO, and then take over these responsibilities. Well, Hope's not going to get that. Hope's not going to get that chance. So, but Hope doesn't need it. So Hope has been punching above her weight class ever since she joined the Army. It started out pretty young. She was a first lieutenant and a company commander in Bosnia. Just imagine, having that responsibility as a young first lieutenant. She was selected to be a DA recorder, and somebody noticed her. That's, again, we handpick from every branch to bring the best people in. Somebody noticed what a great job she was doing. They said, hey, we're going to bring her to the Pentagon as a captain and let her work in the Directorate of Military Personnel Management. Brought her in, and pretty quickly as a senior captain and Pentagon major, got selected to be the XO to the DMPM. So with there's 2 former DMPMs in here anyway, or 3. We know what that job is like. So, and I heard the story. So from DMPM, she's selected to be a battalion commander. And as a battalion commander, she was the Special Troops Battalion Commander for 4th Brigade Combat Team and 1st Cavalry Division. Now, did Callaway know this before a few years ago? No. Nobody really cared until you started hearing stories about Hope Rampey, and the story actually came from General McConville. And General McConville said, yeah, I showed up in Afghanistan, and there's this lieutenant colonel running around, the battalion commander, Special Troops Battalion Commander, And I'm like, who the heck is that? And so she's in charge of security. She's a land-owning battalion commander in a combat zone. Very unusual role for an Adjutant General Corps officer, and something that we're really not trained to do. And he said, I just never seen anything like it. So she was doing, working perimeter security, doing security patrols, figuring out UAV patterns to make sure it all stayed straight, and a landowner as a lieutenant colonel. And he said, I got to tell you, as soon as I started dealing with her, I realized what a gamer she was. She became the USERPAC G1. General Retired Bob Brown said, hey, this officer is the #1 officer in the entire Pacific Theater, #1 colonel out of hundreds of colonels. What a huge honor for somebody to have that, especially, again, AG officers like anybody else can get that, but that's a rare honor. So again, Hope has been knocking it out of the park. She went from there, was selected to be General Seaman's XO. And so for those of you who have served in the Pentagon, the Colonel XOs for the Army senior leaders make the Army run. The senior leaders are busy in meetings. They're doing all the things they have to do as senior executives, but those colonels make it run. And in the most recent group of colonels, every one of those people was the chief's XO, the vices or the secretaries, all those folks. They're all potential general officers. That's why they got put there. And they're all A-teamers. And Hope in that role was a first among equals. And so I think it was probably expressed best. I talked to the DAS either Saturday, the director of the Army Staff, General Pyatt, on either Saturday or Sunday, and he goes, I'm really glad that she pinned on a star. He says, there's absolutely not another person in the Army who's more deserving. She's also the youngest person on her list, the youngest person selected on that list. So, and he says, I knew that if Colonel Rampey was on the task, we didn't really even need to get a bunch of generals involved. We just gave it to Hope, and she handled it. So, Hope, I know you're going to knock it out of the park. Congratulations. Welcome to the team. Congrats to you and your family, and look forward to serving with you on the HRC team. Cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 62nd Adjutant General of the Army, Brigadier General Hope C. Rampey.
Sir, one of the ways you knock it above your weight class is bring a stool with you everywhere you go. Everyone has a joke, but I can't help it. I'm not going to get taller than 4'10", so you're right. I did ask Sergeant Major. I said, Sergeant Major, is there going to be a step stool? And he said, well, yes, I did check it for you. So great first job for me, out of the bat, so I appreciate it. Lieutenant General Siemens, Major General Calloway, General Evans, general officers, former adjutants general, senior executives, chief warrant officers 5s, command sergeants major, civilians, fellow soldiers, family and friends, thank you for attending today. Whether you're here or virtually, thank you to Sergeant Major Brown and the TAG Ops team that put this ceremony together. I truly appreciate it. I'm extremely honored to serve as the Army's next Adjutant General, Commanding General for the Physical Disability Agency, and the Executive Director for the Military Postal Service Agency. There'll be a test later to see if I can say it 5 times fast. Really, there's no better job to serve soldiers and ensure essential personnel services are delivered when people are the #1 priority for our Army. It's with great pride that I take this job because it really is all about people. From Horatio Gates to Samuel Cooper to Bob Bennett, this post and this position has served a pivotal role in our Army, and I'm humbled to carry the flag forward. To my family and friends, here and virtually, thank you for your unconditional support. You keep me grounded, and your support allows me to give back to the Army daily. Thank you to General Bennett, Sergeant Major Williams, and the TAG front office for a wonderful transition. To the greater TAG organization, PDA, and MPSA, I look forward to leading and serving with this great team of personnel warriors. Soldiers first, defend and serve, people first, winning matters, Army strong, TAG 62 signing on.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's investiture portion of the ceremony. We will now transition to Brigadier General Bennett's retirement ceremony, which will now be conducted as an indoor ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now recognize Brigadier General Robert W. Bennett Jr.'s dedicated service to our nation and Army. A retirement ceremony plays a significant role in recognizing soldiers who are leaving the Army. Customarily, soldiers who are retiring from service are recognized for their devotion to the Army and our country. The ceremony honors our military service members and demonstrates to them and their families the appreciation of a grateful nation for their innumerable sacrifices. It is intended to leave the soldier with a tangible expression of appreciation for their contributions. At this time, the United States Army Human Resources Command's Honor Guard will perform a flag presentation ceremony, a special tribute to Old Glory in honor of Brigadier General Bennett's retirement and faithful service to his country.
I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I fly atop the world's tallest buildings. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over great institutes of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident. I am arrogant. I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is a little higher, my colors a little truer. I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am worshipped. I am saluted. I am respected. I am revered. I am loved, and I am feared. I have fought every battle of every war for more than 200 years. Gettysburg, Shiloh, Appomattox, San Juan Hill, the trenches of France, the Argonne Forest, Anzio, Rome, the beaches of Normandy, the deserts of Africa, the cane fields of the Philippines, the rice paddies and jungles of Guam, Okinawa, Japan, Korea, Vietnam, and a score of places long forgotten by all but those who were with me. I was there. I was on a small hill in Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-worn and tired, but my soldiers cheered me, and I was proud. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of countries I have helped set free. It does not hurt, for I am invincible. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of my country, and when it is by those with whom I have served in battle, it hurts, but I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have slipped the bonds of earth and stand watch over the uncharted new frontiers of space from my vantage point on the moon. I have been a silent witness to all of America's finest hours, but my finest hour comes when I am torn into strips to be used for bandages for my wounded comrades on the field of battle. When I fly at half-mast to honor my soldiers, and when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving mother at the graveside of her fallen son. I am proud. My name is Old Glory. Dear God, long may I wave.
Sir, on behalf of the President of the United States Army, and our grateful nation, please accept this flag as a symbol of our appreciation for your 35 years of honorable and faithful service.
At this time, the Commander of the United States Army Human Resources Command, Major General Joseph R. Callaway, will provide remarks and then present Brigadier General Bennett with his retirement awards.
So if we could, first of all, this is a pretty unique ceremony, and I think first of its kind. I'd like us to give a round of applause to the Sergeants Major, the Honor Guard, and the NCOs who figured out how to do this properly and appropriately recognize this under the current protocols. May not seem apparent, but a lot of work, so if we could please give them a hand. So 35 years. What do you cram into 35 years? In Bob Bennett's case, an awful lot. An awful lot of service, an awful lot of sacrifice. So Bob's 35 years include 4 combat tours, 3 short tours, 2 to Korea and 1 to Johnston's Atoll out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. He had over four tours in over 10 years at HRC and 3 tours in over 8.5 years at Fort Bragg doing the hard jobs. All right, that's no more 80-second stuff in here. That's enough. All right. Quiet back there. And so in those 35, in and among those 35 years, again, as I said, taking the hard jobs. So what has Bob done? 2.5 years, he started out as a young infantry lieutenant, figuring out how to be a combat arms officer. Did that well, and then saw the light. Decided he was going to come on active duty and be an AG officer. And in that time, again, taking on the tough challenges time after time after time. So he served as an aide-de-camp to Major General Ron Brooks early as a young captain. He served as a division strength manager in a battalion XO in the 82nd Airborne Division. He served as a Brigade S3 in Korea, again, as an AG officer, things that you don't typically have the opportunity to do. Served as the 2nd Infantry Division G1. Oh, thanks, Mac. And if you don't know Bob Bennett, here's something that says a lot about who Bob Bennett is. And General Seaman shared this with me. So Bob Bennett was coming out of being the 2ID G1, and General Seamans called him and said, "Hey, Bob, your battalion command that you were selected for is going away. And we need somebody to serve in Iraq in the M&D headquarters as the one. Are you up for the challenge?" And Bob said, "Absolutely." So off Bob went. So he did his tour in Iraq. He got back. He was enjoying a couple of weeks of leave with his lovely bride, and he got another phone call. "Hey, Bob, how's it going? You know, General Rodriguez really, well, in this case, not General Rodriguez, would you, we actually need a one downrange in Afghanistan. I know you just got back, and you just got back from Korea, but we really need you. Are you willing to serve?" And Bob said, "Well, let me talk to Sylvia." So he talked to Sylvia, and within a day, he called General Seamans back and said, "Sir, I'm all in. Count me in." And then off for a tour in Afghanistan. Now, there are a lot of people who would find a way not to do that, some for the right reasons. But Bob found a way to say yes because he knew it was important. So he got back from that. We made him the AG branch chief, and just how good he was at his job. He somehow took a loser like me and gave me a couple of good assignments. So he helped me out. So I owe him a little bit. He was selected to be the 5th Corps G1, and then he got a phone call. Hey, Bob, the Corps G1 job that you were going to go to is no longer going to be a Corps. So the story here is Bob's willing to do anything, but hope you're not in the headquarters that Bob is going to when he goes to an important job. I'm just glad HRC hasn't fallen by the wayside since Bob's been here. So he gets a call and says, hey, 5th Corps is going to stand down, but General Rodriguez would really like to have you forward as his one in Afghanistan. So Bob's feet touched the ground in Germany, and about the time that he was touched down, he was on a plane to Afghanistan for a year in theater. And again, how many people have that opportunity or would even take that opportunity? So again, just a tremendous indicator of the kind of leader he is. Came out of that job, was selected to be the Enlisted Personnel Management Directorate Chief or Director, managing the Army's enlisted force, over 400,000 soldiers. And I got a couple of former director and former directors here in the room. And what a tremendous job. So he's in that job, and a lot of people think, well, that might be my last hurrah. I don't know. And he got a call from General Siemens. General Siemens says, hey, Bob, I'm sitting here in DMPM, and it's the most thankless, challenging, punishing 12 to 16 hours a day you'll ever spend in the basement of the Pentagon. Would you like to come join the team? Just so you're tracking, no colonel in history has ever been selected out of being the deputy DMPM to be a general officer. Are you willing to serve? He says, sir, absolutely. I'm not in it for that. It's the right thing. If you need me, I'm there. So he became the deputy DMPM, and at about 29.5 years of service, he was selected for general officer. Why? Because senior leaders like General Siemens and General McConville realized the kind of character and capacity that Bob had and made him a general officer as well they should have. And so now he's our adjutant general, or he was a few minutes ago, and is going to lead out. So truth in lending, I didn't really know Bob before I got to this job. We were sort of professional acquaintances. He was my assignment officer. I tried not to call him. He tried not to call me, that old thing. And I didn't really know him that well. Then, hey, Bob, how's it going? He seems to be a pretty guy, wound a little tight like most 82nd guys. Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry about that. As you get to know him, a couple of descriptors pretty quickly start coming to mind. And over the course of the last, really more than a year, but specifically since I've been serving as the CG, warrior, soldier, leader, mentor, teammate, friend. All those come to mind. Things maybe I didn't really know. How thoughtful you are about what you're doing. A person of integrity, a person of immense character, broad and strategic. He's thinking a lot deeper than most of us. Thinking about, based on his experience in the building and out, hey, what are the second and third order effects of this? Not everybody has the capacity to think that far down the road. And somebody who genuinely and deeply cares, not about getting attention or about getting credit, but really about taking care of soldiers, veterans, families, and the people that work for him. And so I'll close that little piece with a story about him being positive. So General Siemens shared something that I'd never heard, so hopefully someone in the room can use this. I'll try to keep it as colorless as possible. So Bob reminds me of the young boy that's handed a shovel and he's thrown into a room full of feces. And he's in there shoveling away for all he's worth with a smile on his face, and you're looking at him like, dude, what are you smiling at? And he's smiling because he knows in the midst of all that fecal matter, there's got to be a pony in there somewhere. And that is Bob. He has been handed some of the most difficult, challenging, sometimes thankless jobs in the Army, but he's always positive, always has a smile on his face. He's always doing it for the right reason, because he knows at the end there's a soldier, a family, a civilian, somebody who's going to be is going to benefit from his hard work and sacrifice. And you don't get to where he is and be that kind of person without some help. And I think that help started pretty young with his dad, Bob Bennett Sr., a Marine. And sir, thank you very much for your service. And I think Bob referred to it as the Bob Bennett Sr. Scared Straight program. He didn't quite go as far as the Great Santini, which if you're a Marine, you'll appreciate it, or if you're older, you may have seen that movie. But, sir, you instilled the values, the character, the work ethic that gave Bob the foundation that he needed to be where he is today. So, sir, thank you. A few years later, Bob is the aide-de-camp to General Brooks at Fort Ben Harrison, and in walks this young captain who's snowbirding, and she's the project officer for the personnel conference, which back in the good old days, we used to have a personnel conference every year. And so this young lady, this young officer walks in a few times, and now to hear Bob tell it, she pursued him relentlessly, which is probably garbage, even though Sylvia's agreeing, but whatever. And whatever the case, struck up a romance, and like most of us, whether we're male or female, we certainly would not be where we are today without the love, support, advice, wise counsel, and honest feedback from our spouses. So, Sylvia, thanks to you for your service in uniform over 21 years. Thank you very much, and thank you for not only that, being a great spouse for Bob, and a great mom to Eric. So thank you very much. Anecdotally, perhaps the only positive outcome from any personnel conference in history, or at least a solid product. We got one. That was awesome. It's been a while. And Bob, finally, thanks to you for 35 years, not just of service, but sacrifice and doing all the tough jobs that I mentioned. You've been a great teammate over the years to countless many. You have literally touched thousands and thousands of lives, all under the wire without fanfare, because you knew it was the right thing to do and because you cared. So our hats off to you, and we wish you the very, very best as you transition into retirement and head down to Columbia, you, Sylvia, and Eric. So hats off to you, brother. Cool.
At this time, we ask Brigadier General Bennett to come up for the presentation of his awards. We ask the audience to please remain seated during the reading of each recognition. Attention to orders. The Distinguished Service Medal has been awarded to Brigadier General Robert W. Bennett, Jr. for exceptionally meritorious service to the government over a 35-year career in positions of increasing responsibility, culminating as the 61st Adjutant General of the United States Army, Commanding General, United States Army Physical Disability Agency, and Executive Director, Military Postal Service Agency. During his distinguished career, Brigadier General Bennett's leadership, dedication, and mentorship positively affected tens of thousands of soldiers, civilians, and families, and increased Army readiness. Brigadier General Bennett's numerous accomplishments and outstanding service to our nation are in keeping with the finest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon himself, the United States Human Resources Command, and the United States Army. Signed, James C. McConville, General, Chief of Staff of the Army. Major General Callaway will now present the Distinguished Public Service Award. Brigadier General Robert W. Bennett, Jr. distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious service as the United States Army Adjutant General from September 2017 to June 2020. While serving in this capacity, he exemplified the highest possible commitment to his fellow service members with whom he shared the fight, but for whom there was no homecoming, no parades, and no return to their loved ones. The distinctive accomplishments of Brigadier General Robert W. Bennett, Jr. culminated a long and distinguished career in the service of our nation and reflect great credit upon himself, the United States Army, and the Department of Defense. Major General Callaway will now present a certificate of appreciation from the President of the United States. The Certificate of Appreciation for Service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America is presented to Brigadier General Robert W. Bennett, Jr. The certificate reads, I extend to you my personal thanks and a sincere appreciation of our grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. I trust that in the coming years you will maintain an active interest in the armed forces and the purpose for which you served. Those who follow in your footsteps will draw inspiration from your commitment, dedication, and sacrifices made to ensure the protection of our American freedoms. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, Donald J. Trump. Major General Callaway will now present a certificate of recognition from the Secretary of Defense. In recognition of your service during the period of the Cold War, 2 September 1945 to 26 December 1991, in promoting peace and stability for this nation, the people of this nation are forever grateful. Signed, Mark T. Esper, Secretary of Defense. Brigadier General Bennett is now receiving a commemorative shell casing. The inscription reads, Brigadier General Retired Robert W. Bennett, Jr., thank you on behalf of your soldiers and civilians in appreciation of your ongoing leadership, professionalism, and mentorship. The Adjutant General Directorate, September 2017 to October 2020, last round. At this time, Major General Callaway will present the Certificate of Retirement to Brigadier General Bennett. The certificate reads, From the Armed Forces of the United States of America, this is to certify that Brigadier General Robert W. Bennett, Jr., having served faithfully and honorably, is retired from the United States Army on the first day of October 2020. Signed, General James C. McConville, United States Army Chief of Staff. At this time, we invite Mrs. Bennett and son Eric to join Brigadier General Bennett. Mrs. Sylvia Bennett is presented the Meritorious Public Service Medal for exemplary service to soldiers, Department of the Army civilians, their families, and the local community. Mrs. Bennett provided over 24 hours of caring guidance, selfless support, and countless hours of volunteer work in support of the Army mission. She possessed a keen understanding of the importance of family support, a true concern for the well-being of soldiers and their families, and a desire to make a difference. Mrs. Bennett's decades of service, outstanding patriotism, and dedication to the United States Army and her local community are in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflect great credit upon her, the Adjutant General Directorate, the United States Army Human Resources Command, and the United States Army. A certificate of appreciation is being awarded to Mrs. Sylvia Bennett on the occasion of the retirement of her husband in the United States Army. She has earned the grateful appreciation for her own unselfish, faithful, and devoted service. Her unfailing support and understanding helped to make possible her husband's lasting contribution to our nation. Signed, James C. McConville, General, United States Army, Chief of Staff. A certificate of appreciation is being awarded to Eric R. Bennett for exceptional service as an Army brat, a special type of person and an important member of the Army team. Army brats do not sign up to be in the Army, they are born into it. They have sacrificed as much for their country as their parents. They know what it means to pick up and make new friends. They know what it means to have their parents miss a school play, a sports event, a birthday, or a holiday because they had to work late, go to the field, or deploy somewhere in the world. They know that it is hard to be an Army brat as it is to be in the Army. Above all, Army brats understand that they are loved and that their job is very important to their parents and America. Major General Callaway will now render a final salute to Brigadier General Retired Robert W. Bennett, Jr. Ladies and gentlemen, Brigadier General Retired Robert W. Bennett, Jr.
We almost had a crisis. We couldn't find the white book, and I'd have to wing it. But thank goodness it circulated all the way around here. It made it to me. So thank you all very much. Good afternoon, General Officers, especially today our former tags who are here today, Generals Mushton, McEwen, and Jim Icoca. Command Sergeant Majors, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me and my family and giving me an opportunity to say a few words about what it meant to me to serve as the 61st Adjutant General of the Army. Or is it 68, Mac? 58, Mac. So I don't know, General McEwen had too much time on his hands, and apparently he changed the batting order, and he has confused all the former tags and has caused such turmoil and strife within our ranks to this day. But thank you, sir, for what you've done. Cool. First and foremost, I'd like to thank Dr. James Baker for his invocation. His messages are just so powerful. And after hearing him speak at so many events, I had to ask him to say a small prayer on behalf of the Bennett family. So thank you, Dr. Baker, sir. To the Honor Guard, you wow me every time I watch you. But it's a different story when it's your time to come, because I tell you, it puts a lump in your throat, and it's really hard to hold your emotions in. Thank you. Job well done, Honor Guard. My front office, my inner circle, the circle of trust, the team who ensures that what I say and do is accurate and on point. They are the ones to tell the Emperor that he is wearing no clothes. Thank you for taking such great care of me and the Adjutant General Directorate. You worked for hours planning and preparing for this event and the dinner. You've made me and my family so proud. Special shout out to Captain Hannah Peck, who was always 10 steps ahead of me and has greatly assisted me as I transition out of the Army. Thank you, Hannah. Sergeant Majors Williams and Brown, who've worked the script, which was very difficult because it incorporated two ceremonies, the investiture and the retirement ceremony, with some branches and sequels. COVID-19 under heavy conditions, COVID-19 under medium conditions, and COVID-19 under light conditions. But thank you both. And thanks to the staff here that's working, the ushers, the tear down, the setup, you name it. This would not be possible without the support of the directorates and the staff. So thank you very, very much. General Siemens, thank you for coming today. As General Callaway alluded to, our paths have crossed on many, many occasions. But thank you, sir, for your mentorship, your friendship, and me just being at the right place at the right time to serve either with you or around you. You have made me become a better officer and a gentleman. Thank you, sir. I would like to thank General Joe Calloway, serving as the Commanding General of HRC. A very difficult and tough time in today, as just so much going on with COVID-19, with our HR policies, and we're making some really great personnel transformation. Sir, you make it look so easy, so thank you, sir, for your leadership and your guidance. I would be remiss if I did not thank the Chief of Staff, the HRC staff directorates, my division, branch chiefs, and my sergeants majors that I've worked with on a daily basis for the past 34 months. They are superstars in my eyes and are doing some heavy lifting, tackling complex problems. Each and every one of them are dedicated to our mission. This past May marks 35 years in the Army. I have served and visited many, many installations. I must tell you that the facilities, the programs, the people here at Fort Knox are by far second to none. The partnerships we have formed with our surrounding community, phenomenal. I see it at all our Fort Knox events, both on and off post. I've seen it in my past life as a DCGF Cadet Command, where many of you support our basic and our advanced camp graduation ceremony. So thank you for your support. I know Harry's here from the Ford dealership, and he's provided just great support to me and my family. Harry, thank you for taking time to come. I know all of us can't wait to get back to some sort of normalcy so that we can see and meet each other again. I can tell you that welcome remarks are much easier. They're easier to write and easier to give. The connections have yet to be made. Those close relationships that you develop when working in an organization like this, well, they're just shadows on the horizon in the beginning. But the longer we worked together, the closer we drew to each other, those shadows started to fill out, take shape, color, and became strong and memorable connections that make saying farewell very, very hard to do. So I've had the honor and truly the pleasure of serving as the 61st Adjutant General of the Army for 34 months. In this job, I'm truly amazed of all the heavy lifting of what we do for the Department of the Army and the support that we provide to our soldiers, our families, veterans, retirees. And I truly say that I learn something new every day in this job. In our conference room, we have the photos of the 61 Adjutant Generals of the Army. They're the prominent ones: Horatio Gates, the first Adjutant General for General George Washington. Major General James Ulio, back in World War II. I was able to meet with his biographer about a year ago, and he wanted to look at what we do now compared to what was done then back in World War II. Phenomenal. I had the honor to meet General Tom Secor back when Second Lieutenant Bennett was deployed in Desert Shield, Desert Storm. Replacement operations didn't work very well. He singled me out, told me to come here and tell me my ordeal, what happened. And I was able to talk to him about replacement operations. It was an honor meeting him. And of course, our prominent ones that are here today, Generals Mushkin, McEwen, Iacocca. Thank you all for coming. Not a day goes by that I'm not astonished by the hard work and the talent of the soldiers and the civilians associated within my directorate. I am truly grateful and honored to serve with such an extraordinary group of professionals, such as yourselves. Thank you for what you do every single day, taking care of our soldiers, our families, retirees, and veterans. From the 40th Chief of Staff of the Army, people are always my #1 priority. Our Army's people are our greatest strength and our most important weapons system. Our people are our soldiers, family members, Department of the Army civilians, soldiers for life, retirees, and veterans. We must take care of our people and treat each other with dignity and respect. It's our people who will deliver on our readiness, modernization, and reform efforts. I, too, agree. It's the people, not the tanks, not the helicopters, not the artillery, and not the latest communication systems that runs our Army. And we, as HR professionals, have the privilege to support them in our mission and what we do. The actions, decisions, and ideas of every single HR professional within TAG-D and HRC impacts the success of our formation. That's pretty powerful. And I am extremely proud to be part of this command and this directorate. The wearing of my 3 hats takes me around the world, visiting my team and seeing eyes-on how our services are being provided and impacted. In the past 34 months, excluding the last 6, from being banned from traveling based on COVID, I've traveled 5 countries, 22 states, and 30 cities. My team consists of 1,100 personnel comprising of active duty, reserve, National Guard, Department of Army civilians, and contractors. It takes all types of people to run this complex organization. They're located at 13 different locations all over the world, each performing essential HR services to our soldiers, families, retirees, and veterans. From cradle to grave, the functions we perform ranges from HR data systems, soldiers' records, mail, ID cards, Army awards, voting, promotions, evaluations, tuition assistance, credentialing, retirement services, and casualty and mortuary affairs. That's just to name a few. Not a small task at hand, and I am so proud that my team executed these mission sets with care and compassion each and every day. Yes, we made a few mistakes that reaches Army senior leaders' visibility, but I will tell you they are far and few in between, and we've learned by these mistakes, which makes this organization a better place. Why do I like coming to work every day? I like to just share one story with you, and I have so many more that makes me so proud of working at HRC and TAG-D. A little over 19 months ago, received a request of a Vietnam veteran wanted his DD Form 214, so that's a statement of service. He received the DD Form 214, looked at it, and says, I never received the Air Medal. I was never presented that. I didn't know I had that. He was a door gunner for a UH-60. So the team that I work for, they immediately talked to my awards branch, and we arranged it where why not the Adjutant General of the Army present to the family on behalf of the Army his well-deserved Air Medal that he should have received 45 years ago. So right before one of my town halls, had the public affairs there, had his family there. He was there along with his friends, made the presentation of the Air Medal. Afterwards, I was able to talk to him, and he was in tears. Why was he in tears? Because he said, General Bennett, this was not a popular war. My mom didn't want me to go, but I thought it was what I had to do. I came back with nothing, showing proof of the goodness that I did. We were spit on. He goes, look now. I can come back and see my mom and say, look what I amounted to, Mom. I did make a difference. And he did. He flew to Arizona to visit his mom, who was dying of cancer. Received a card from him at Christmas. Sir, I wish you, your family, and all your soldiers a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Although it's almost been a year since the awards ceremony at the chapel, I want to thank you again for presenting the Air Medal in the presence of my wife, family, and friends. Receiving this prestigious award from you in this manner means a lot to me because I love the Army, and I am so proud to have honorably served my country. This medal ceremony has provided me and my wife with memories we will always cherish. It always provides special significance because I was able to share the experience with my mother, who is very ill and undergoing cancer treatment. Thanks again, sir. We are truly grateful and blessed. That's the type of people that my folks support and serve, and they do it with dignity and respect with the utmost compassion. That's why I'm so proud to serve in HRC in this directorate. General Hope Rampey, you're going to have the time of your life serving under General Callaway, working with our great team. I envy you and would not blink twice if Big A Army came back to me and says, why don't you stay here another year or two? I would say, wow, the Army is actually paying me to work in this job. So me and Tag 60, maybe 65, I don't know, Mac, Jim Iacocca spoke yesterday, and to this day, he feels the same way. The best job in the Army, and you're going to truly, truly learn a lot, stretch your game, but you're going to make a difference. So good luck. I know we're in good hands. Sylvia and I are so fortunate to have moved my dad to this great state and community a few years back. It's been fun being able to work. It's been fun to be able to do things together as a father and son after being apart for 35 years and only seeing him during special occasions. Thanks for coming, Dad. I wish I could see you more. He just threw a bombshell at us last Sunday. He's decided that he bought a home and he's going to reside here, so I have a good excuse to come down and visit the Fort Knox community and the partnership. So we'll be back and visiting. Sylvia, I love you, and Eric. I would not be here today if it were not for your caring, loving support you have provided me for the past 24 years. You know what my son's doing right now? He's doing this. You see that? Thank you for being a great mom. Thank you for being a dad as well when I'm not around. But that will soon change, and looking forward to starting our next chapter together. Soldiers, families, veterans, retirees, friends who have supported me over the past 35 years, thank you. As a paratrooper, the best way to show you my appreciation is telling you a parable that means a lot to me personally. And some of you may have heard me tell this story before. And the title of this is, Who is Packing Your Parachute? Charles Plumb, United States Naval Academy graduate, was a United States Navy pilot in Vietnam. After 75 combat missions, his plane was destroyed by a surface-to-air missile. Plumb ejected and parachuted into the enemy hands. He was captured and spent 6 years in a Vietnamese prison camp. He survived the ordeal, and to this day, he currently lectures on lessons learned from that experience. One day, when Plumb and his wife were in Chicago, they were at a restaurant. There was a man sitting across a couple tables just staring at him profusely. The man came up and said, "You're Plumb. You flew fighter jets in Vietnam from the aircraft Kitty Hawk. You were shot down." Plumb said, "How in the world did you know?" "I packed your parachute," the man replied. Plumb gasped and was surprised with gratitude. The man pumped his hand and said, "I guess it worked." Plumb assured him it sure did. "If your chute hadn't worked, I wouldn't be here today." Plumb couldn't sleep that night, thinking about the man. Plumb says, "I kept wondering what he might have looked like in a Navy uniform, a white hat, a bib in the back, bell-bottom trousers. Wonder how many times I might have seen him and not even said, 'Good morning, how are you?' or anything, because, you see, I was a fighter pilot and he was just a sailor." Plumb thought of the man hours the sailor had spent on that long wooden table in the bowels of the ship, carefully weaving the shrouds and folding the silk of each chute, holding in his hands each time the fate of someone he didn't know. So, fast forward, this story's got me thinking of people who helped pack my parachute. Both my mom and dad who's here today, my mom and dad, they instilled the morals, the values, and built the base foundation that has made me who I am today. I love you, Dad. Their legacy was not in money, but in example, in principles, in ideals, and in dreams. I've used that parachute many times throughout my own life, and today I'm reflecting on the ones who've packed my parachute so that it would not tangle or be useless when it was most required. Actually, the more I think about it, there are so many people who have helped pack my parachute over the years. My high school baseball coach, Coach Phil English, it was more than just baseball and football, it's about life. He taught us about life. My company grade years, I have a couple of them here. Fort Bragg leadership, Colonels retired Bruce Brown and Al Watley. Bruce was my boss as Major Brown when I was Lieutenant Bennett, and Al Watley was Captain Watley then, and we deployed together in Desert Shield, Desert Storm. And we have so many stories to tell, and it was great to talk to them last night. They came by Yeoman's Hall and just catching up. They could probably share with you some two nicknames I was called during the 4 years I was there. One was, General Siemens, you might remember this, Pigpen. The second was Bronco Bob. We'll just leave all that alone, but some good stories there. To my wife, Sylvia, of 24 years, I love you and looking so forward to being there with you, being there with Eric. Because you see, you're supposed to balance family and the Army. I did not do a very good job at that. So I've got a second chance because, well, I've got a 10-year-old right here I can be a dad to, and I got my wife. So looking forward to our next chapter. The Charles family, who are in the front row, we've known them for 25 years. Yes, he has about as long duty title as I do. He's a chaplain, colonel, doctor, retired. Did I miss one, Mike? Nope, that's it. But he married Sylvia and I 24 years ago. We always try to see each other once, twice a year. And he's helped us get settled down at South Carolina, and he's helping me find a place if I want to build. He's already picking out the lots on the lake for us to look at. And, of course, the Adjutant General Directorate, who've supported me over the past 3 years. All of you have helped me put the air in my parachute when needed to slow down or was headed for a fall. I want to personally thank each and every one of you for the support you provided me. Without you, I would tumble to the ground and crash. Thank you so much for being here today. Tag 61 signing off. Thank you.
Please remain standing for the playing of the Army song and continue standing for the departure of the 62nd Adjutant General of the Army. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremonies. Thank you for attending. Please follow the directions of the ushers and to remember practice social distancing while in the theater. Brigadier General Retired Bennett, Mrs. Bennett, and family will move in front of the stage for you to be able to say your farewells. Then please join the 62nd Adjutant General, Brigadier General Rampey, in the foyer of the theater to congratulate and welcome her.